let me just quick introduce Carolyn. She's a program manager for Scistarter and Citizen Science Month you manage. And it sounds like you do a lot of different tasks and wear a lot of different hats at Scistarter.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. I like that I get to try pretty new things pretty much every day, and I also get to do all the citizen science projects myself, so I feel like a super citizen scientist. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Carolyn, it's great to have you here. I will see you in 20 minutes. I'm bad at adding, so it's four o'clock, and I'll monitor the chat for questions, and we'll do a little Q&A. So the floor is yours, and I'll see you in 20 minutes, Carolyn.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you to all the speakers so far today. I've really been enjoying it and I've been learning a lot, which has been that's one of my favorite things to do to learn. And as I was thinking through things to discuss with you all, I thought about citizen science as a learning tool. So I don't want to assume that everyone has done citizen science before or that you all have even heard of it before, but I'm going to take a look in the chat. If you all have done it before, if you've done a particular project, feel free to shout it out. If you have a project that you think everybody else here should try, feel free to put that in the chat too. I'm seeing some no's, some yeses in the chat. And if you're replying in the chat, make sure you select all panelists and attendees so all of your fellow attendees in the Zoom room can also chime along. I know quite a few people are watching on Facebook and you might be watching the recording on YouTube perhaps. So feel free to also put it in the comments wherever you might be encountering this recording. I'm going to be looking at it later. So I always love to hear what you all are getting getting accustomed to in the citizen science world. I'm seeing some great answers. Folks have done all sorts of different things, from monarch butterfly research to bumblebee research to night sky research. It looks like someone has done it with their Girl Scouts through the Scistarter Girl Scouts journey, which I love. Some people have done Fold It. This is also really exciting because I have a surprise for you all during this presentation, and many of these projects that you're listing in the chat are part of the special page we made. So that's super cool. Quite a few people have done iNaturalist, some have done eBird. Okay, so, and for those of you who haven't heard about citizen science before, these all just might be random words to you. So we should probably start off with, what is citizen science? Citizen science is public engagement in real scientific research. So that means it's people collecting data and submitting that data to research projects. It's people analyzing data and helping researchers come up with results. It's basically any way a member of the public can be meaningfully involved in the scientific process. And how we like to frame it at Scistarter is it's a collaboration between researchers and people who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. My favorite phrase in pretty much the whole entire world is citizen science lets you turn your curiosity into impact. You're able to, like, let's say you love the night sky. You love going outside, looking up, finding different constellations. If you love the night sky, you can participate in the Globe at Night project and help study light pollution just by reporting what your view is of a certain featured constellation. It's really amazing. You're able to, if you love being outside and you love being on the water, you can participate in water monitoring projects like Earth Echo International and help us understand global water quality. Citizen science is just a way for everyone to be part of science, no matter their age, no matter where they are on Earth. I think it's just something that's very egalitarian and very positive. It's almost, I know that people sometimes think of science as something that's distant for them, or, oh, it's not for me, or they think of a test they had and they were scared. But science is something that's exciting. It's a way of thinking. And I think citizen science really shows that. And one way I've also heard it described by my colleagues at Scistarter is, we don't expect everybody who plays a sport to become a professional athlete. So why do we expect everyone who does science to be a professional scientist? So citizen science, I think it's really becoming a household term and something that more and more people are embracing, which is so exciting. And science teachers and science educators are such a big part of this change. So now you might be wondering, then what is Scistarter? Like, I have a grasp on citizen science. It's volunteer effort for science. Okay. It's people moving research forward, moving science forward, helping create new knowledge. But then what is Scistarter? So Scistarter is the place that connects you to the projects that need your help. So if you go to Scistarter, the core of the website is our project finder. where you can search thousands of different science projects, citizen science projects, based on different criteria to find an opportunity to get involved. So people add their projects to Scistarter when they're seeking volunteers. I think the best way to do this is just to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And that's a page we'll come back to later. But this is the main Scistarter website. So people go to scistarter.org when they want to add a project or find a project. So we're the connector between the researchers and the volunteers. And if you make a Scistarter account yourself, you can keep track of all the different projects you're joining through the project finder. And there are also tools and events that people list as well, and other things like our syndicated blog network, our podcast, and all sorts of different stuff. It's basically a place you can go to discover citizen science. But on the project finder, you can search different projects. Let's say I want a project I can do, and for educators, this can be really useful at school. And let's say I am I don't know, environmental science teacher. I can search projects that are focused on ecology and the environment. And let's say that I teach high school. And I want projects that have classroom materials and are Scistarter affiliates. Then I can click Find Projects, and oh my gosh, all of these projects have come up to, for me that I can put into my classroom. And the great thing about citizen science and these ongoing research projects is you can do a little or you can do a lot, but whatever you do, if you follow the protocols and follow all the instructions, you're advancing some sort of research outcome. So a lot of people will do the Nature's Notebook project. That's a project where you can submit observations, so basically what you see around you of plants and animals, to help the National Phenology Network understand seasonal change. So you're helping scientists take the pulse of the planet by submitting your observations of different plants and animals. So the project finder is usually pretty useful for folks who want to volunteer for science and want to use it to search for different projects that they might be interested in, like if they're really into the environment or they're really into astronomy, and they want projects that fit into their life. Like maybe they're someone who's a little bit more homebound and they may just want exclusively online projects, and that's fine too. The project finder gives you the means to discover those. And for educators, it gives you the means to search for different projects that might dovetail really nicely with your teaching. And also maybe the project leader has tagged it as being a particularly good fit for the age group that you're instructing. So the project finder is super useful in discovering all these different projects, but we wanted to take it a step further. So that's why we made the Scistarter education page, and that's why we updated it just for this event, because we knew we were meeting you all and we wanted to give you an easy resource to explore and discover all these different things. So on this page, we have an introductory citizen science video. We address citizen science in terms of the next generation science standards. And then we selected different projects for different grade levels, and we linked to the educational resources for each of these projects. And I really want to be clear that these grade levels are just suggestions. They're not limitations. I do the Great Sunflower Project pretty much every week by myself, unaccompanied by someone in pre-K. So these are just suggestions for different grade levels these projects could work really well in. They are not supposed to limit you in any way whatsoever. You could do the Great Sunflower Project with your high school class. It's grades pre-K through 2 and up. So on each of these pages on our scistarter.org/education page, which I'll put in the chat and which is on my screen so you all can see it. And you can just type it in yourself as well. For the Great Sunflower Project, we have a video that we received from the project leader over there, a printable color and learn sheet, which is particularly good for the younger kids, the younger students, and then step-by-step instructions to kind of give you a sense of what you would expect if you were doing this either in person with a class or maybe engaging remotely with a group and facilitating them remotely. So this page, it's meant to help you discover different things. In addition to all the different projects that we've selected, we have an introduction to citizen science tutorial. There are quizzes, it's clickable, there's a certificate at the end, there are videos, it's a lot of fun. And it was written at a 5th grade level, so it's meant to be accessible to different age groups. So we really hope that you use this tutorial and it's useful for you. And we also included some discussion and reflection questions, further resources, Scistarter lists, and a Learning Through Citizen Science, Enhancing Opportunities by Design educational report. So that's the beauty of citizen science. You know, it's so diverse. It spans pretty much every single different scientific discipline. It's everything from astronomy to, you know, health to games to psychology and to the environment and everything in between. So no matter what you're interested in, you can find a citizen science project for that. And no matter what your field of educational expertise is, you can find a citizen science project for that as well. And I was looking at the chat earlier and someone mentioned Zooniverse. A few of the projects on the education page are actually based on the Zooniverse platform. That's the thing about Scistarter. People add their projects to Scistarter and then folks usually go somewhere else to do it. So that made us think at Scistarter, you know, we want to give people a way to keep track of all these different projects. And you can do that in your Scistarter dashboard when you have an account. You are able to say, oh my gosh, I've joined 27 different projects. I'm the most amazing citizen scientist ever. But you can also, for projects that have gone the extra mile, these are about 100 or so projects, and become Scistarter affiliates, you can keep track of the number and the frequency of your contributions to different Scistarter affiliate projects in your Scistarter dashboard. So what does this mean? It means that these are high-level statistics. You know, I would be able to, in my personal dashboard, see I've contributed 12 times to iNaturalist on this date. And we also made a new tool in response to the pandemic and new public health guidelines exclusively for educators, where you can put different projects on your own list, and you can give that list to your students or whatever community you're working with, and you're able to see the number of contributions to those projects since different students or different people with Scistarter accounts have viewed your list. And to protect privacy, only people over the age of 13 can have Scistarter accounts. So if you're working with folks younger than that, you may want to have them participate with a parent, guardian, or trusted adult who has the Scistarter account for them. But for those folks who are over the age of 13 and who you feel comfortable having make their own Scistarter account and engage with your list, that's a helpful tool you can use that's on the Scistarter education page. And you can find info about creating a list and sharing projects with your students and your community at the very bottom of that education page. But I know we don't have too much time left, and I actually wanted to do some citizen science with you today. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And so we're starting at the top. I'm just going to refresh this. I think something's going wrong with my videos. There we go. So we're at the very top. So let's say, and if you want to follow along and do this with me, you totally can. Just type in scistarter.org/education into your whatever browser you're using. I recommend using Google Chrome. That's what we optimize Scistarter for. But you know, Firefox will work or Safari, but Chrome is usually my go-to. So you're on the scistarter.org/education page. If you don't have a Scistarter account, so I just logged out to demonstrate it, you can make your Scistarter account on the left side of this page. So this is a good time. I always urge folks at this point of the presentation, make your Scistarter account. You won't regret it. It'll be your passport to discover all these different citizen science projects. But I have a Scistarter account, so I'm going to log back in. All right, so I want to do stall catchers with you all today. It's at the very bottom of the education page. There it is, stall catchers. So Stall Catchers is an Alzheimer's research project. It's based out of Cornell University and the Human Computation Institute, and it is a Scistarter affiliate, so you're able to track the number and the frequency of your contributions to this project in your Scistarter dashboard. And if you include it on a list for your students, you'll be able to track the number and the frequency of their contributions as well. So Stall Catchers is basically an online game where by playing it, you accelerate Alzheimer's research. What the researchers have done is they took the analysis that they were doing in the lab, the annotations of videos of mouse brains, and turned it into a format where anyone can do it. So they've essentially crowdsourced annotations. And when you're in the game interface, you're looking at a video of a blood vessel, it's playing on a loop, and you're indicating whether or not the blood vessel is stalled or flowing. And by doing this, by making this annotation, researchers are able to test different treatments and answer different questions about Alzheimer's disease. So this is one of my favorite projects because it's really easy to slot into my everyday life. Like, I feel so good about the fact that I'm able to move research forward from my couch, literally just bringing this up on my tablet and playing it at home. So I'm logged into Scistarter. I've made my account. These instructions are all here for you if you want to go back and read about it later. There's a video from the project leader, but I'm going to click the participate button to head over to ScIC now. And I'm already logged in, but the key thing is make your ScIC account with the same email you used to sign up for Scistarter. That way, all of your contributions are able to track. And this is the video I told you about. This is a video of a mouse's brain. And the area in question that we're looking at is this circled area right here. We're trying to analyze and see whether or not this blood vessel is stalled or flowing. We know it's stalled when we see a persistent black spot in the flow of white that doesn't move. And believe it or not, there are middle schoolers who are better at this game than me. I definitely think that age is not a determinant in how good you are at stall catchers. So if you're worried about this being too complicated for your students or for your community, they might surprise you, trust me. So this video is playing on a loop, and sometimes I like to slow it down to really study it. I'm trying to see if there are any persistent black spots in the flow of white in that circled area. I don't really see any, so I'm going to say flowing. And I am correct. It was flowing. And one of the really cool innovations of stall catchers is so many different people analyze each video that you don't really have to worry about being wrong. The power of the crowd will help you. And also, stall catchers has deployed some machine learning techniques. So if you're not entirely sure about a given answer, that's okay. Like if you keep on consistently getting things wrong, they'll weight your answers to be a little bit less. It's a smart system. It's humans working in conjunction with computers. So I'm going to do another one. I'm looking at the circled area right here. I'm trying to see whether or not this blood vessel is stalled or flowing. This is a tough one. And that's the thing, right? And you'll see this in the lab too. These videos aren't always perfect. Sometimes the quality will be a little less. That's just natural variation in data. But I think I see a stall right there. I think I see a persistent black spot in the flow of white that never turns white. So we're going to click it and see. No, it was flowing. I was wrong. And as you can see, the stall catchers community is kind of weighing in on this. Some of the expert catchers, a super user gave their analysis as well. So we're going to do one more. I'd love to have you all vote. If you want to put in the chat what you think. I know you haven't played it for too long. You might be a little intimidated, but let's let this play for a second. Do you think this blood vessel is stalled or flowing? And what you're doing is you're looking at this circled area, you're looking at the flow of white, and you're trying to see if there's a persistent black spot that never turns white and doesn't move. That's how you know it's a stall. So I'm going to take a look at the chat and see what the people think. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing overwhelmingly people are saying it's flowing. All right. I think we're going to go with flowing. That seems, based on my look at the chat, that seems to be what y'all think. And you are correct. It is flowing. So believe it or not, you all just did citizen science. You just moved research forward by contributing your analysis of this blood vessel. And there's so much more on stall catchers. They've cited the citizen scientists who have participated as co-authors in papers they published in journals such as Nature. They've really fostered a community feel. They've done spotlights on different super catchers from all over the world. It's a really cool thing for not only you to get involved with, but for you to involve your students in. And if you go back to that scistarter.org/education page, for the stall catchers card, so I'm scrolling down to get the stall catchers, I click on that. We've linked to stall catchers educational resources. So there are teacher guides, curricular resources, and more that you can implement in a project plan. So I think that's all we have time for right now with this education page, but I hope that this one example of one project showed you that there's so much more you can explore, so many different scientific disciplines, and you can also teach about science while having people do science. So I'll pause here for questions.
Carolyn, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm watching the video. I'm trying.
Are you playing stall catchers as we speak? Yes.
Well, I'm a big Scistarter fan, so the first thing I did was went to your site and I'm looking it up. It's really cool.
We could play some more stall catchers during the happy hour. We can have people vote
Oh,
on
okay.
stall versus flowing if you want.
Yeah. Actually, how many projects do you think are on your site at any given time?
Well, it's a complicated answer because some researchers don't want their project listed in the public project finder. Like one example I'm thinking of is there was this project in the United Kingdom where they were looking for blue wood lice, but they only needed a few volunteers. So for that particular project, they might say, hey, we know that you're able to message people on your site in a given geographic area. Can you just message them and invite them to our project? And once we get to 10 volunteers, we'll pull it from the site. And we said, sure, that's totally fine. So there are thousands of projects on the site, but not all of them show up in the public search because not all of them want to be publicly listed at all times.
That's interesting. So they go to you to get volunteers for their project, and then they're done. And oh,
Yeah.
that's fascinating, huh? So there was there's so many questions that flew by, but one of them is you do have a lot of international content, and I was looking myself. All you have to do is search for it, right? And I was using the advanced search just from the main page. It's if you type in the region you're in, I found some projects in Central America, some in Mexico, found some in Northern Europe. There are projects all over the place.
Yeah, I'll share my screen really quick because we have people all over the place too. So when someone adds a project or they add an event, they get access to our people finder, and you're able to select anywhere in the world. And you can message those people and invite them to do your project, if they've opted to have a public Scistarter account. So it looks like there's no one in that area of Africa. But let's see how many people we have in Cape Town. There are 95 registered Scistarter users and 3 project leaders in Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow. I think everybody should go on and search their region. How do you get to the map?
You have to add a project or add an event to be able to invite volunteers to do that. And then I'm actually the person who approves those messages. So we make sure that people don't get spammed or, asked to do something that isn't citizen science or something like that.
Well, suppose a teacher wanted to have their students do something, they could post the project on your site, right?
Definitely. And that's the beauty of Scistarter, I think, because you can be hyper local or you can be global. So a project like Stall Catchers, it's global because it's completely online. You can participate anywhere on Earth. But some projects are hyper local. You might just want to study a particular stream in a particular city in a rural area. You could list that on Scistarter too and message those people in your rural area and invite them to do it. And you'd be surprised where there are Scistarter users. We're doing a lot of work in Montana right now. We're getting some things started up there, and there are quite a few users, like even in like more rural areas. So it never hurts to open the door and invite people to do your project.
So, I think the other thing, we'll talk about this later, right? But I think one of the opportunities here for teachers. So teachers, we did a survey this morning and we showed the results. I don't think you were on early this morning, but the majority are still remote.
Yeah.
And, at best hybrid, there's a few in person. And the question is, how do you do science remotely? With your students remote. And well, citizen science is an answer to that. There are projects that they can get involved in, right?
100%. And I think a project like Stall Catchers, I've seen educators just bring it up in a Zoom room and share their screen and do what I just did with the whole crowd. Like they have their students vote on whether or not blood vessels are stalled or flowing. And it's also an excellent opportunity at the same time to teach students like data quality skills, or to teach them about like machine learning. You could easily use Stall Catchers as an example of like machine learning in action. So if you have a topic where there's like a global project that aligns well with it, you can really easily like bring it up in your virtual classroom for sure.
A couple of people are asking, that's great. A couple of people are asking about devices and stuff. I saw some tablet questions. I see a Chromebook questions. It's just a website. Right?
Yeah, we optimized it for mobile, so you can use it on a smartphone. But yeah, that's why we did a website instead of an app. I've talked to Scistarter's founder Darlene about this. I was like, when I first joined, I said, "Why aren't we an app?" And that's why, because apps can be inaccessible to people, but a mobile-friendly website is accessible to everybody.
Yeah, it seems like that's the case. So anybody can go in and create an account and use it on
Yep.
any device, it seems like. That's great.
As long as they're over the age of 13. For the younger people, we urge them to have their parent, guardian, trusted adult make the account and participate alongside them.
Or the teacher.
Or the teacher, yeah, she could just have a classroom account.
And then you have also, you could search grade levels and
Yep.
top subjects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's all just from the search and the front page, basically.
Yeah, and we made the education page, partially we updated it for this event because we wanted to make it easy for you all to access a high quality video, access curricular resources, and access step-by-step instructions for some projects that we thought were a particularly good fit for different grade levels. Because, there are thousands of projects out there on Scistarter, and it can be a little overwhelming at first. So this page kind of like steps you through just a few projects to get you started.
Let's link that again. I think I might have it here. Hang on.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. It's on my screen too, if y'all need it.
Let me see here. Yeah, pop in. I want to just make sure.
Education.
Okay, there it is. Scistarter.org/education.
Yep.
This should be, looks like it's accessible. Oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, and we actually had, so Darlene, Scistarter's founder, is a National Geographic explorer, and some of her fellow Nat Geo explorers made videos for this page. So not every project has one of their videos, but a few of them do. So that can be kind of fun things for y'all to discover as you click through these projects. I know Sourdough for Science, a Nat Geo explorer made a video for it. If you're baking sourdough during the pandemic, that's a great project to do. Crowd the Tap, which is a project that asks people to do a scratch test on their pipes. There's a video from a Nat Geo explorer on the education page. So feel free to just click through that, explore. And if you have any questions, I'm always around. You can just shoot me an email.
Yeah, and and we should, so the best way to contact Scistarter or contact you is the emails on the website?
Yep, it's everywhere on the website. You won't go far without finding it.
Okay. And then, I see somebody here. I think this is an important question. So Katty, thank you. So this is okay there's projects here for independent remote learning for students.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the project. Like, I recommend before you ever assign a project in the classroom to do it yourself first. Believe it or not, sometimes people will assign it without doing it, and it might be harder than they expected. Like, one example is the Ant Picnic project, which is an amazing project. It's on the education page, but there are a lot of supplies required for it because you're literally making a picnic for ants. So you'd want to do that first to see if it would be a good fit for your classroom. And if you think it'll work well, then you could assign it to your students.
Yeah, this is important. This is why, we specifically made, the last half of the conference, we kind of bunched the citizen science oriented talks together because, teachers are looking for things that they can do remotely. And this is, I think, an answer to that. I think we're kind of forced into this situation where we have to answer this question quickly. So I see you're scrambling to get stuff up, which is amazing. But as this goes on, I think we'll get better with the idea of integrating citizen science into the classroom, which is a really good thing. I mean, it's a positive outcome from this.
Yeah, well, that's why we built the list feature, because teachers and educators were already using citizen science as a teaching tool, but it was getting hard for them to track it. So if you use the Scistarter lists that are at the bottom of that education page, you can keep track for the Scistarter affiliate projects, the number and frequency of those contributions, which helps you give people credit for participation. So that was a tool we literally built in response to COVID, because at the request and it was an idea from educators.
Interesting. Do you have COVID related projects on there?
Yes, one of the best ones out there, which I have been participating in myself, is called COVID Near You. It's by the same people who brought us Flu Near You, and it's basically a project that asks people to fill out a survey every week about whether or not they're healthy or sick. And with that data, researchers at Harvard Children's Hospital up in Boston are able to predict the next, hotspot or areas where there might need to be special attention for COVID.
That is so cool. That's really cool. And it's useful and timely, right?
Definitely.
This is amazing. So we have to wrap up and go to a break, but I would say stay on for a little bit. And there's a bunch of questions here. Everybody who's on, you need to sign up for Scistarter. It's just great. They don't send you they don't spam you with a ton of stuff. I've been on their list forever. And, it's great to get the updates, and there's always something interesting going on, and, it'll be near you or wherever, but it's like always interesting, the emails to see what kind of projects are going on.
Yeah, we sent one out yesterday about a new project, which is on the education page called Fishtory, like history, but with fish. Yeah, that's so cool.
This is really cool.
So the emails we send you will be about things like that, things that hopefully will make you smile or like get you fired up to do some science.